For 76 years, Batman comics, Batman shows, and Batman movies carried the same 4 words, created by Bob Kane, one name. And for 76 years, that credit was missing somebody. The man it was missing invented nearly everything you picture when you hear the word Batman. The cowl, the cape, Gotham City, Bruce Wayne himself. He died in 1974. No obituary, no grave, no credit. This is the story of the people who actually built Batman, one era at a time. It involves a costume designed over a weekend, a plot stolen from a magazine, a playing card, an Oscar, and a beach in Oregon. Start in 1939. Superman had just turned National Comics into a money machine, and its editors wanted more heroes, fast. As Bob Kane told it, an editor asked him for ideas on a Friday. Kane was a 23-year-old cartoonist with a hungry eye, and he had reportedly heard Superman's creators were pulling in $800 a week each. Kane came back Monday with something he called the Batman, and honestly, it looked ridiculous. A bright red union suit, 2 stiff wings sticking off the back like a kite, a little domino mask over a blonde-haired face. Before showing the editor, Kane called a friend to look it over, a bookish young writer named Bill Finger. Finger suggested a cowl with bat ears, a scalloped cape instead of wings, gloves, blank white eyes, and he swapped the red for grey and black, the colours of the night. Kane had drawn a man in a costume. Finger made him a creature of the dark. Finger kept going. He named the hero after 2 historical figures, Robert Bruce, the Scottish king, and Mad Anthony Wayne, the American general. Bruce Wayne. Flipping through the New York phone book, he passed a listing for Gotham Jewelers, and the city had a name too. The first Batman story hit newsstands on March 30th, 1939, in Detective Comics number 27. Bill Finger wrote it. He wrote it fast, and he borrowed hard. Finger later admitted his first Batman script was a takeoff on a shadow pulp story, published 3 years earlier. The other inspirations were everywhere, and none of them were secret. Douglas Fairbanks in The Mark of Zorro, a creaky old thriller called The Bat Whispers, a Da Vinci sketch of a flying machine with bat wings. Batman was assembled from parts. In 1939, everybody's hero was. It worked. Here is the part that was not normal. When the editor bought the strip, Kane negotiated the deal alone. Bill Finger was not in the room, and he was not in the contract. Kane got the byline. Finger got a flat page rate. No royalties, no name in print. A ghost from day one. Remember that byline. This whole story turns on it. For the next 25 years, the ghost did a lot of inventing. The murdered parents in the alley, the origin that powers every version of Batman since. Finger wrote it, 2 pages in Detective number 33. Commissioner Gordon was there from the very first story. Finger again. In 1940 came Robin, worked up by Kane, Finger, and a teenage new hire named Jerry Robinson, and the book's sales reportedly doubled. Then came a villain, and the accounts still disagree. Robinson said the Joker began with his sketch of a playing card. Kane said he and Finger created him. Finger mostly remembered bringing in a photograph. The photograph was actor Conrad Veidt in a silent film called The Man Who Laughs, a frozen grin that became the most famous villain in comics. Whoever started the Joker, Bill Finger wrote him. The character outgrew the page fast. A 1943 movie serial put Batman on film for the first time in a sagging cowl and introduced something the comics did not have yet, the Batcave. Meanwhile, Bob Kane was building a different kind of legend, his own. In 1946, DC ran a story called The True Story of Batman and Robin. It showed Kane inventing everything, alone, practically as a schoolboy. That same era, Kane reportedly went to DC claiming he had signed his original contract as a minor, so it did not count. He was 23 when he signed. Historians call it a bluff. It worked anyway. Per comics historians, the New Deal made Kane one of the best-paid men in comics, with one clause above all. Every Batman story, forever, would say created by Bob Kane. Kane barely drew the strip by then. Ghost artists penciled it. Ghostwriters scripted it. The ghostwriter was very often Bill Finger. The secret held until 1965, when a comics fan named Jerry Bales printed an article with a pointed title, "A Finger in Every Plot." Kane went volcanic. He wrote an open letter to fandom insisting, quote, "I, Bob Kane, am the sole creator of Batman." And he added a line historians still wince at. If Bill Finger created Batman, where is Bill Finger's byline on my strip? Read that again. The byline Kane's own contract made impossible was now his proof that Finger did not matter. Finger had spoken on one convention panel that summer. Only 2 known recordings of his voice survive. No known film of him exists at all. 4 months after Kane's letter, Batman conquered television anyway. January 1966. Adam West. Twice a week on ABC, both nights in America's top 10, and reportedly $75 million of merchandise in a single year. Batmania even threw Finger a crumb. He co-wrote 2 episodes about a villain called the Clock King, and for the first time in his life, his name appeared on a Batman story. It was close to the last time. The comics work dried up. The phone stopped ringing. On January 18th, 1974, Bill Finger was found dead in his Manhattan apartment. He was 59. Not one newspaper ran an obituary. In his entire life, the mainstream press had mentioned him exactly once. A single paragraph in The New Yorker, back in 1965. There is no grave. His son Fred carried the ashes to a beach in Manzanita, Oregon, and scattered them in the shape of a bat. Here is the strange gift hiding in Finger's story. Batman never really belonged to anyone, so every generation got to rebuild him. The '66 show had made him a punchline. The correction arrived in 1970, when writer Dennis O'Neil and artist Neal Adams pulled Batman out of the daylight and returned him to the shadows. O'Neil said they were simply taking Batman back to what Bill Finger and Bob Kane had started in 1939. February 1986 went further. Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns aged Bruce Wayne into a bitter old soldier at war with his own city. It landed the same year as Watchmen and Mouse, and people still call 1986 the year comics grew up, Hollywood noticed. In June 1989, Tim Burton's Batman opened to $40 million, a record weekend, and reached $100 million in 10 days, faster than any film before it. The merchandise did the rest. By some estimates, roughly $750 million of Bat-branded everything. Anton Furst's towering Gotham sets won an Oscar. Bob Kane took a consultant credit and a red carpet. And in his autobiography that same year, a confession finally surfaced.
I look down and watch my creation go on and on and on.
Quote, "Now Eta Pelaisenkool and Versensuapto. Now that my longtime friend and collaborator is gone, I must admit that Bill never received the fame and recognition he deserved." He wrote that he often told his wife, "If I could go back 15 years before he died, I would like to say, I'll put your name on it now. You deserve it." He never put the name on it. The credit stayed exactly as it was for another 26 years.
The reinventions kept coming. In 1992, Batman the Animated Series gave the character his definitive voice, Kevin Conroy, and gave the Joker Mark Hamill's laugh.
Bruce Timm and Paul Dini treated a kid's cartoon like film noir, won Emmys for it, and invented Harley Quinn in their first month on the air. Then Christopher Nolan made the myth prestigious. Batman Begins in 2005, and in 2008, The Dark Knight. Heath Ledger's Joker won a posthumous Oscar, and The Dark Knight became the first comic book film in history to reach $1 billion at the box office. Remember what Bill Finger brought to the Joker? A photograph of an actor's frozen grin. When that character won an Oscar, Finger's name was still not on the movie. The fix started with the man who drew the playing card. In 1975, Jerry Robinson and Neal Adams shamed Warner, DC's parent company, into giving Superman's creators pensions and their bylines back. 30 years later, Robinson helped create an award for exactly this kind of forgotten writer. He named it the Bill Finger Award. Then a children's book author named Marc Nobleman spent years digging through the record and published Finger's story in 2012. Bill the Boy Wonder. The research found the one person who could act. Athena Finger, Bill's granddaughter. She pressed DC, and on September 18, 2015, 76 years after Detective 27, the company agreed. The next month, on a show called Gotham, 3 new words rolled up the screen. Batman, created by Bob Kane, with Bill Finger. Notice the wording. It says with, not and. Even in Victory, Bill Finger got a with. The credit reached movie theaters in 2016, and every Batman film since carries it. Watch the end of The Batman. It's there. In 2017, a documentary told the whole fight. Batman and Bill. The record is public now. One last number. Detective Comics 27 cost 10 cents in 1939. This year, a single copy sold for $2.3 million. The franchise those 6 pages started has generated an estimated $30 billion, and no single person made it. Kane sold it. Finger shaped it. Robinson dealt it a wild card. O'Neil, Miller, Tim, Conroy, Nolan, Ledger. Batman is a relay, not a portrait. So the next time the credits roll on something you love, sit through them for a minute. Somewhere in that scroll is a name you were never told mattered. Which era made your Batman? 66, 89, the animated series, or Nolan's? Tell me in the comments.